The alarm blared for the third time that morning. James Harrison groaned and finally reached over to silence it. 6:45 a.m. He'd overslept again. At 38, James had been running on too little sleep for what felt like forever, trying to keep all the plates spinning in his life. Being the CEO of Apex Solutions was demanding enough, but doing it while raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily on his own for the past 3 years since his wife's passing, that was the real challenge. Lily Bug. Time to get up, sweetheart. He called out as he hurriedly brushed his teeth. No response. James poked his head into her room to find her still fast asleep, curled up with her stuffed elephant, her dark curls spread across the pillow. His heart melted a little, like it did every morning. She looked so much like her mother. Come on, honey, big day today. New school, remember? Lily's eyes fluttered open, and she gave him a sleepy smile that quickly faded into worry. What if the kids don't like me? She asked in a small voice. They'll love you, James said, helping her sit up. Just like everyone does. Now let's get moving. Daddy has a super important meeting this morning. As Lily reluctantly got ready, James's phone buzzed with a series of increasingly stressful notifications. His 9 a.m. meeting with potential investors had been moved up to 8:30. His housekeeper, Mrs. Chen, had texted that she had caught the flu and wouldn't be able to make it today. And then came the final blow. The school transportation service he'd arranged for Lily's first day at Westlake Academy had a vehicle breakdown and couldn't make the pickup. Perfect, James muttered, trying to button his shirt while responding to urgent emails. He'd need to drive Lily himself now, adding at least 30 minutes to his already tight morning schedule. Downstairs, breakfast was a rushed affair. James managed to make Lily's favorite, peanut butter toast cut into triangles, while answering a call from his anxious VP of marketing. Lily quietly ate, watching her father pace around the kitchen island. Yes. Tell them I'll have the presentation ready. No, I know it wasn't scheduled yet. I understand the importance, Dave. James caught sight of the kitchen clock. 7:20 already. Listen, I've got to go. I'll see you at the office. He hung up and took a deep breath, trying to switch gears from CEO to dad mode. Ready for your first day, Lilybug? Lily nodded, though her eyes told a different story. She clutched her new purple backpack tightly, her knuckles almost white. Remember what we practiced? If you feel scared, just take 3 deep breaths and think of our special place. The beach where we saw the dolphins, Lily finished softly. I know, Daddy. James smiled and kissed the top of her head. That's my brave girl. Now let's find that school information packet. He rummaged through the stack of papers on the counter, finding the welcome letter from Westlake Academy. He glanced at the address. 2175 Westridge Drive. Or was it Westfield Drive? The letters seemed to blur together as another call came in from the office. We really need to go, sweetie, he said, grabbing his laptop bag with one hand and Lily's lunchbox with the other. We'll figure it out on the way. The morning traffic was worse than usual. James tapped impatiently on the steering wheel, checking his watch every few minutes. Lily sat quietly in the back seat practicing tying her shoes, something she'd been working on all summer. You're getting really good at that, James said, catching her eye in the rearview mirror. Lily's face brightened. Ms. Chen showed me a trick. She says I'm a fast learner. James felt a pang of guilt. Their housekeeper often knew more about Lily's daily progress than he did. He made a mental note to be more present, even as his phone buzzed with another message from work. When they finally approached what James thought was the right neighborhood, he squinted at street signs, trying to remember the exact address. His navigation app showed Westfield Elementary School just ahead. That must be it, he murmured, pulling up to a modest brick building with children streaming toward the entrance. It didn't look quite as fancy as the brochures for Westlake Academy, but perhaps they'd renovated the inside, he reasoned. Here we are, Lily. Westfield. I mean your new school, James announced with forced cheer, helping her out of the car. Remember, I'll pick you up at 3:30. Or actually, Mrs. Chen will. No, she's sick today. I'll figure it out and text. Your teacher, okay? Lily looked up at the unfamiliar building uncertainly. Are you sure this is it? James checked his watch again. 8:10. His meeting was in 20 minutes, and the office was 15 minutes away in good traffic. Yes, this is it, he said distractedly, kneeling down for a quick hug. You're going to have a wonderful first day. I love you more than all the stars. Love you more than all the sand, Lily replied, their special goodbye. James watched. Her walk toward the building, her small shoulders squared with determination despite her nervousness. She disappeared into the stream of children, and he jumped back into his car, already dialing into a pre-meeting conference call. It wasn't until mid-morning, during a tense negotiation, that James's assistant slipped him a note. Westlake Academy. Called. Lily never arrived. Call urgently. The room seemed to tilt sideways as panic gripped him. Where was his daughter? With shaking hands, he excused himself and rushed out of the meeting. Meanwhile, at Westfield Elementary School, third-grade teacher Ms. Grace Chen was taking attendance when she noticed an unfamiliar face sitting quietly in the back row. And, "You must be?" Ms. Chen asked gently, approaching the small girl who wasn't on her class list. "Lily Harrison," came the soft reply. "It's my first day." Ms. Chen checked her records again. "I don't seem to have you on my roster, Lily. Which class were you assigned to?" Confusion clouded Lily's face. "I don't know. My daddy just dropped me off." It was then that Ms. Chen realized something was wrong. This little girl was in the wrong school, and somewhere, someone was probably very worried about her. James felt like the ground was collapsing beneath him as he sprinted from the meeting room. His daughter was missing. The single most important person in his world wasn't where she was supposed to be. His hands shook so badly he could barely dial his phone as he raced to the parking garage. "What do you mean she never arrived?" he demanded, speaking to the receptionist at Westlake Academy again. "I dropped her off myself this morning." "I'm sorry, Mr. Harrison, but Lily hasn't checked in with any of our teachers. We've searched the entire campus," the woman explained patiently. "Could there have been a mix-up?" James's mind raced as he started his car. A mix-up? And then it hit him like a ton of bricks. Westlake versus Westfield. The addresses he'd been trying to remember that morning. Had he actually dropped his daughter at the wrong school? "I need to call you back," he said abruptly, ending the call and immediately searching for Westfield Elementary. It was only 2 blocks away from Westlake Academy. The realization of what he'd done sent waves of shame and panic through him. The 15-minute drive to Westfield Elementary felt like the longest of his life. James ran every red light he could safely manage, muttering desperate prayers under his breath. He'd been so wrapped up in his work, so distracted by his own importance, that he'd endangered the one person who truly mattered. When he finally screeched into the visitor parking space at Westfield Elementary, James didn't even bother to lock his car. He burst through the front doors, his expensive suit rumpled and his tie askew. "My daughter," he gasped to the startled secretary at the front desk. "Lily Harrison. I think I may have dropped her here by mistake this morning. She's 7, dark, curly hair, purple backpack." The woman's expression softened with recognition. "Oh, you must be Ms. Chen's mystery student's father. Don't worry, sir. Your daughter is perfectly safe. Let me call down to room 112. The relief was so overwhelming that James had to lean against the counter to stay upright. Lily was here. She was safe. He hadn't lost her. 5 minutes later, Ms. Grace Chen appeared in the office doorway with Lily by her side. The moment Lily saw him, she broke into a run. "Daddy," she cried, launching herself into his arms. James scooped her up, holding her so tight she squeaked. "I'm so sorry, Lilybug. I made a mistake this morning. I took you to the wrong school." "I know," Lily said simply. "Ms. Chen figured it out. But it's okay, Daddy. I got to help organize the class library and I made a new friend named Zoe." Over his daughter's shoulder, James finally got a good look at the teacher who had taken care of his daughter. Ms. Chen wasn't what he'd expected. She was younger than he'd imagined, probably around 30, with dark-rimmed glasses and a calm, thoughtful expression. She wore simple black pants and a comfortable-looking blue sweater with cartoon dinosaurs on it, something that instantly told him she was a teacher who knew how to connect with kids. "Mr. Harrison," she said, extending her hand. "I'm Grace Chen. Your daughter has been quite the trooper today." James shifted Lily to his hip so he could shake Ms. Chen's hand. "I can't thank you enough for looking after her. I don't know how I mixed up the schools." "It happens more often than you'd think," Ms. Chen assured him. "The names are similar, and the buildings aren't far apart. The important thing is that Lily was safe and actually had a good morning with us." They moved to a small conference room off the main office to talk, Lily settling comfortably in her father's lap. "She's quite remarkable," Ms. Chen said, her eyes warm as she looked at Lily. "I noticed right away that her reading level is far above average for her age. When I found her in the library corner, she was reading Charlotte's Web. And not just looking at it, but truly reading and understanding it." James blinked in surprise. "Really? I mean, I know she likes books, but I didn't realize." "She also has quite the artistic talent," Ms. Chen continued, pulling out a drawing from a folder. "She made this during our morning art period." The drawing showed a beach scene with what appeared to be a man and a little girl watching dolphins leap from the water. Though simple, it captured movement and emotion in a way that seemed advanced for a 7-year-old. "Our special place," James murmured, touching the paper gently. It had been almost a year since that vacation, the first one they'd taken after his wife's passing. He'd been so busy lately he hadn't realized Lily still thought about it so much. "She told me all about it," Ms. Chen said softly. "It sounds like a beautiful memory." There was something in her voice, not pity but genuine understanding, that made James look up. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly seen. Not as CEO James Harrison, but as Lily's dad who was doing his best. "So, what happens now?" he asked. "I need to get her to the right school, I suppose." Ms. Chen tilted her head thoughtfully. "Well, technically yes, but it's already past noon. It might be less disruptive to let her finish the day here and start fresh at Westlake tomorrow. She's already made friends and gotten comfortable." "Can I, Daddy?" Lily asked, looking up at him with hopeful eyes. "Ms. Chen said we're making volcanoes this afternoon in science." James found himself nodding before he'd even thought it through. "I suppose that would be okay. I'll need to call Westlake and explain." "Of course," Ms. Chen said, standing up. "You can use this room for privacy. I'll take Lily back to class for lunch." As Lily slipped off his lap to take Ms. Chen's outstretched hand, James felt a strange reluctance to see them go. There was something about the teacher's calm competence, the way she'd cared for his daughter without even knowing who she was, that touched him deeply. "Ms. Chen," he called as they reached the door. "Thank you again. Not just for keeping her safe, but for noticing her." Grace Chen's smile was warm and genuine. "That's the best part of my job, Mr. Harrison. Every child deserves to be truly seen." She hesitated, then added, "You should know your daughter speaks very highly of you. Whatever you might be beating yourself up about right now, don't. You're clearly doing something right." After they left, James sat alone in the quiet room, staring at Lily's drawing. For the first time in years, he felt something unexpected stir within him, a connection to someone outside his carefully constructed world of business deals and board meetings, someone who saw value in things he had nearly forgotten to notice. 2 weeks had passed since the school mix-up incident, and James couldn't stop thinking about Ms. Chen. It wasn't just her kindness or the way she'd helped Lily that day. It was how she'd seen things in his daughter that he had missed while rushing through their daily routine. He had driven Lily to Westlake Academy every morning since then, making sure to double-check the address. The prestigious private school was everything he'd researched: excellent academic programs, state-of-the-art facilities, and connections to the best middle schools in the city. Yet each afternoon when he picked Lily up, he'd rearranged his schedule to do it himself. Something seemed off. "How was school today?" he asked one Tuesday as they drove home. Lily shrugged, staring out the window. "Fine. Just fine." "What did you learn about?" "History stuff," she mumbled. James frowned. This wasn't like his normally chatty daughter. Did something happen at school? Is someone being mean to you? No, everyone's nice, Lily said, then after a pause added, I miss Miss Chen's class. They were making bird feeders out of recycled materials today. Zoe told me at recess. Oh? You still see Zoe? Lily nodded. The schools share a playground fence. We talk through it sometimes. James felt a twinge of guilt. Lily had made a friend during her brief time at Westfield, and now they were reduced to talking through a fence. He'd been so focused on giving her the best education that he hadn't considered whether she'd be happy there. That evening after Lily went to bed, James found himself looking up Westfield Elementary's website. There was a section about after-school programs, and one caught his eye. Young Artists Workshop, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 3:35 p.m. Open to all neighborhood children. The program description mentioned it was run by volunteer teachers, and there was Ms. Chen, smiling in a photo surrounded by children holding paintbrushes. The caption read, Ms. Chen helps students explore creativity through various art forms. James stared at her picture longer than necessary. There was something so genuine about her smile, so different from the polished, professional expressions he encountered in his corporate world. The next morning at breakfast, he casually mentioned the art program to Lily. Would you be interested in something like that? It says they work on all kinds of projects, painting, sculpture, even some photography for the older kids. Lily's eyes lit up instantly. Could I really? Zoe goes to that. She told me they're making clay animals this month. I don't see why not, James said, warmed by her enthusiasm. I'd have to sign you up. We could go check it out this afternoon if you want. Yes, please. Lily bounced in her seat, suddenly full of energy. That afternoon, James left work early, shocking his assistant, who couldn't remember the last time he'd departed before 6. They arrived at Westfield right as school was letting out, joining a small crowd of parents signing their children in for various after-school activities. And there she was, Ms. Chen, checking names off a clipboard, wearing jeans and a paint-splattered smock over a simple green t-shirt. Her hair was pulled back in a casual ponytail, and she wore the same dark-rimmed glasses. She looked up just as they approached, and her surprise quickly blossomed into a warm smile. Mr. Harrison and Lily, what a lovely surprise. Hi, Ms. Chen, Lily said excitedly. Can I join your art class, please? Ms. Chen knelt down to Lily's level. We would absolutely love to have you. Are you interested in making clay animals with us today? As Lily nodded enthusiastically, James stepped forward. I saw the program on your website. It said it's open to neighborhood children, and we do live just a few blocks away. He wasn't sure why he felt the need to justify their presence. Of course, Ms. Chen said, standing up. The program is open to everyone. We believe art should be accessible to all children. She handed him a registration form. We just need some basic information and emergency contacts. Their fingers brushed as he took the paper, and James felt an unexpected flutter in his chest. I can fill this out right now, he said, suddenly awkward. How much is the fee? It's donation-based, Ms. Chen explained. Whatever families can afford. Some give nothing, some give what they can. It all works out. James raised his eyebrows. This was quite different from Westlake, where every activity came with a significant price tag. He completed the form while Lily chatted excitedly with Zoe, who had spotted her and rushed over. As the children headed into the classroom, James found himself lingering. I should thank you again, he said to Ms. Chen. Lily hasn't been this excited about anything in weeks. Art has a way of bringing joy, she replied. Will you be picking her up at 5? Yes, I've cleared my schedule. He hesitated, then added, Actually, I was wondering if I could stick around today. See what the program is all about? Something flickered in Ms. Chen's eyes. Surprise, perhaps, or curiosity. Parents are always welcome to observe, though I should warn you, we can get a bit messy. I think my suit can handle it, James said with a small smile. For the next hour and a half, James sat in the back of the classroom, ostensibly checking emails on his phone, but mostly watching the transformation that came over the children, and over Ms. Chen. She moved from table to table offering encouragement, asking thoughtful questions, helping struggling hands shape lumps of clay into recognizable forms. There was a patience to her that he admired, a genuine interest in each child's process rather than just the final product. And Lily, his quiet, sometimes shy daughter, was blooming in this environment. She laughed with Zoe, raised her hand to answer questions, and beamed with pride when Ms. Chen praised her carefully crafted clay turtle. When the session ended, the children proudly displayed their creations on a drying rack. Parents began arriving, and James watched as Ms. Chen spoke individually with each one, sharing specific observations about their child's work that day. "How often do you do this?" James asked when there was finally a lull. "The after-school program? Twice a week during the school year," Ms. Chen replied, wiping clay from her hands. "I started it 3 years ago. The school couldn't afford an art teacher, so you became one," James finished. "On top of teaching 3rd grade." She shrugged, but couldn't hide her pride. "The arts are usually the first thing cut when budgets tighten. I couldn't let that happen." "That's remarkable," James said sincerely. Their eyes met, and for a moment neither spoke. Then Lily bounced over, breaking the silence. "Daddy, can we come back on Thursday too? Ms. Chen says we're painting our animals then." "I don't see why not," James replied, still looking at Ms. Chen. "If it's okay with Ms. Chen." "Always room for one more artist," Ms. Chen said with a smile that reached her eyes. As they walked to the car, Lily chattering happily about her clay turtle, James felt lighter than he had in months. There was something about Grace Chen's passion, her dedication to these children, that had stirred something long dormant within him. A reminder of what really mattered beyond boardrooms and business deals. Over the next month, Thursday and Tuesday afternoons became the highlight of James's week. He rearranged meetings, delegated tasks he would normally handle himself, and even turned down a business trip to Tokyo, all to make sure he could take Lily to art class and, if he was being honest with himself, to see Grace Chen. Their conversations after class grew longer each time. They started with discussions about Lily's progress, then evolved into talks about education philosophy, childhood development, and eventually, their own lives. James found himself opening up about the challenges of being a single parent in ways he never had before. "Sometimes I worry that I'm failing her," he admitted one evening as they watched Lily playing with friends in the school playground after art class. "That I'm so busy trying to provide for her future that I'm missing her present." Grace's response surprised him. "All parents feel that way sometimes," she said softly. "Even the ones who are with their kids all day. The fact that you worry about it tells me you're a good father." There was something about her perspective that soothed his deepest insecurities. Unlike the people in his corporate world who were impressed by his position and achievements, Grace seemed to value the things about him that had nothing to do with his title or bank account. One rainy Thursday, as they were helping clean up, after a particularly messy papier-mâché session, Lily looked up from her work and asked innocently, "Ms. Chen, would you like to come to our house for dinner sometime? Daddy makes really good spaghetti." James froze, paintbrush in hand, mortified by his daughter's directness yet secretly grateful for it. He'd been wanting to ask Grace to dinner for weeks but couldn't find the right moment. Grace looked equally surprised, her cheeks flushing slightly, as she glanced at James. "That's very sweet of you to invite me, Lily." "Please say yes," Lily continued, unaware of the adult's awkwardness. "Daddy says you're really easy to talk to, and he smiles a lot more on art class days." Now it was James's turn to blush. "Kids and their honesty," he mumbled, then cleared his throat. "But she's right. We would love to have you over sometime. No pressure, of course." Grace tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, a small smile playing at her lips. "Actually, I'd like that very much." They set a date for the following Saturday. James spent the entire day cleaning the house and grocery shopping, more nervous than he'd been before presenting to the board of directors. Lily helped by making place cards for the table and picking flowers from their small garden. When the doorbell rang at 6 o'clock, Lily raced to answer it. Grace stood on the doorstep looking different outside the classroom setting in a simple blue dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. She held a small potted plant and a children's book. "The plant is for your home," she explained as she stepped inside. "And the book is one I thought Lily might enjoy. It's about a girl who becomes an artist." The evening was filled with easy conversation and laughter. James discovered that Grace had a quick wit and shared his love of old movies. After dinner, they worked together on a puzzle with Lily, and for the first time in years, the house felt truly alive, filled with warmth and possibility. 1 year had passed since the day James accidentally dropped Lily at the wrong school. So much had changed in those 12 months that he sometimes marveled at how a single mistake had altered the course of their lives. The biggest change had been his decision, 6 months ago, to restructure his role at Apex Solutions. After several heart-to-heart conversations with Grace about work-life balance, James had taken a leap of faith. He'd appointed his trusted CFO, Tom, as co-CEO, sharing the leadership responsibilities that had once consumed his every waking hour. "Are you absolutely sure about this?" Grace had asked when he first mentioned the idea. "Running Apex has been your life for so long." "That's exactly the problem," James had replied. "It's been my whole life. I don't want to miss any more of Lily growing up." And he'd taken her hand. "I want time for us too." Today, as he stood in the hallway of Westfield Elementary where it had all begun, James felt a sense of rightness wash over him. Lily was now a student here, having transferred at the start of the school year. She'd thrived in the more creative, hands-on environment, and her friendship with Zoe had blossomed. James had never regretted the decision to move her, especially after seeing her confidence grow. "You okay?" Grace asked, joining him in the hallway. "You look lost in thought." "Just thinking about how much has changed," he said, taking her hand. "Are you ready for this?" She nodded, her eyes bright with excitement. "The board is waiting in the library. They're very interested in your proposal." Together, they walked through the colorful hallways decorated with student artwork. Some of Lily's paintings hung among them. Her talent had continued to develop under Grace's guidance. In the library, the school board members sat around a long table, an air of curiosity about them. James had requested this meeting weeks ago, and while Grace knew the general idea of his proposal, even she didn't know all the details. "Thank you for meeting with me today," James began, his voice calm and confident. "As some of you know, my daughter Lily transferred to Westfield this year, and I've been incredibly impressed by the dedication of your teachers, particularly in the arts program Ms. Chen has developed." He opened his laptop displaying a PowerPoint presentation. "What you may not know is that Apex Solutions has been looking for meaningful community partnerships. Today I'm proposing that Apex fund a complete arts education program for Westfield. Not just occasional after-school classes, but a full curriculum with dedicated teachers and resources." Murmurs of surprise rippled through the room. Grace's hand tightened around his. "Additionally," James continued, "we want to establish a district-wide program that would allow Ms. Chen's teaching methods to be implemented in other schools. Her approach of integrating arts into core subjects has shown remarkable results with Lily and other students." As he outlined the financial details, a substantial grant that would fund the program for at least 5 years, James watched the board members' expressions shift from skepticism to hope. When he finished, the room erupted in enthusiastic discussion. Later, as they celebrated with ice cream, Lily's suggestion, Grace leaned against his shoulder. "That was quite a surprise," she said. "You've been planning this for months, haven't you?" James nodded. "I wanted to do something that mattered, something beyond quarterly reports and profit margins, something that would make a difference in children's lives." He paused, smiling at Lily, who was happily chatting with the ice cream server. "The way you've made a difference in ours." Grace's eyes shimmered with tears as she kissed him softly. "You know, some might say sending Lily to the wrong school that day was a mistake." "Best mistake I ever made," James replied, holding them. Two people who had taught him what truly mattered in life.